Good evening, and thank you for coming, and it's always fantastic to see this room here get filled up. Um, Hello, I'm Highland Village City Manager Michael Levitt. For more than 2 centuries, our country has recognized soldiers who have died while serving in combat for our country. Memorial Day is our opportunity to render those who have died defending our nation's freedom. I hope you had a moment to reflect with the family and friends on this meeting of this past holiday. Memorial Day allows us to visit cemeteries, memorials that honor those that have given everything in service to our country. Here today, at this monument, we are honored not only those that have died, but those that have lived and gallantly sacrificed in the service to our country. Please welcome a very good friend to the city of Highland Village, Chaplain Lieutenant Colonel Jack Mulligan, who will lead us in invocation.
Let us pray. Dear Heavenly Father, yesterday we remembered our defenders of freedom who made the supreme sacrifice with their own life. Let us never forget the price of freedom. And today, we place the names of veterans of our city, Highland Village, Texas, upon the monuments. These men and women have also sacrificed to serve the United States of America. And we thank each for their courage, for their faith, and for determination. We also give thanks for loving families that served in their support of those on active duty. In the name of our Lord, amen.
Forward, arch. Other guard, hold. Left, iron, arch. Creeps, and colors.
Please join us as we say the Pledge of Allegiance. Please rise. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed, and our twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched.
Y'all can be seated. Gosh, I started to read, hello, I'm Mike Levitt. I'm the city manager. But don't worry, I flipped the page. Thanks, Mike. I get to tell you the process for the Veterans Recognition. The City of Highland Village desires to honor Highland Village veterans. In August 2012, at the request of the City Council, a committee of local veterans was organized to review and form the policy for memorial recognition. 7 residents accepted the challenge and have reviewed and approved all the applications that have been received thus far. At this time, I would like to recognize those members in attendance and thank them publicly for their service. If you're on that committee, would you stand? I have the good fortune of serving on that committee with these gentlemen also. So, the policy was approved by City Council in September of 2012 to allow the recognition of all Highland Village veterans, whether living or deceased, provided they met the following criteria. The veteran who was honorably discharged maintained Highland Village residency for a period of at least 1 year at any point in the veteran's life. A 2x6 plate was ordered by the city and funded by the family or a sponsor and will be placed on the stone monuments right here. We're supposed to be outside. Right here at the landscape grounds of the Highland Village Municipal Center. At our first ceremony in May of 2013, we honored 10 local veterans. In November of 2013, we honored 17. Today, we honor 16. If you would like to honor your loved one, please let us know and we will help make that process happen. Okay, so now you're going to have to keep looking at me because I get to introduce 3 of the veterans that we're honoring today. Hollis Edwards. Is Mr. Edwards here and his family? You want to come up? Read your bio now. Hollis Edwards was born in Tennessee in 1947. He graduated from high school in 1965 and joined the Air Force in June of that year. He completed basic training at Lackland in San Antonio, Texas. He served at several bases in the U.S. before being sent to Vietnam. Hollis was in Vietnam from 1967 to 68. He was assigned in Saigon during the 68 Tet Offense. During that time, he achieved rank of sergeant. Mr. Edwards received several medals, including the National Defense Service Medal, Vietnam Service Medal, and Good Conduct Medal, just to name a few. After the military, he became a firefighter in Michigan City, Indiana. My husband is retired. That's probably why they gave you to me. After a few years, he resigned to attend college at the University of Wisconsin, where he received a Bachelor of Science degree in radio, TV, and film. He worked in the media for several years, but again, he had a desire to help people, so he joined the Dallas Police Department and served 28 years, retiring in 2008 at the rank of sergeant. After enjoying retirement for several years, he got the itch to serve again. Yeah, no joke. So he joined the Dallas Sheriff's Department, where he is currently a deputy sheriff. He also has a second career as an actor for 25 years, appearing in numerous commercials, made-for-TV movies, independent films, and website videos. Wow. Hollis is married to his loving wife, Leanne. Between the two of them, they have a blended family of 9 adult children and 9 grandchildren. Thank you, sir. Family of David Jean Farah, are they here? Want to come up and join me? Now, don't you cry, because I will. Okay, well, we're going to both do it together, okay? So get over here. David Farah joined the United States Marine Corps in August of 1961. He spent time as a Marine in Okinawa to promote peace and prevent aggression. He was also at Guantanamo Bay during the Cuban Missile Crisis. At the end of his tour, he spent as an MP on Long Beach in California. David was honorably discharged in March of 1968. David Farah was a proud Marine. He acquired several medals for his sharpshooting skills and also as a pistol expert. David moved to Highland Village to serve as the assistant city manager in 1987. and went on to be the chief of police. David spent over 23 years in Highland Village. He is survived by his wife Linda, his son Michael, and his 2 stepchildren Wendy and Joe Flowers. David also had 5 grandchildren, which were the love of his life during his last years, along with his motorcycle, in which he found peace in riding often. David was very loved and will be missed. Oh, okay. One more. James Cluth. Is James here? Family? James? Come on up. Come on down. Thank you for coming. Okay. James Cluth had a very full 4-year enlisted career in the U.S. Coast Guard during peacetime. He was the Honor Guard Rifle Drill Team. He was a fireman. Wow. And worked at Tongue Point Boys Center in Astoria, Oregon. He completed electronics training and several other specialized equipment schools. He maintained shipboard electronics plus a myriad of other duties during Alaskan fishery patrols and search and rescue missions for 1 summer and 2 winters in the North Pacific. He was a sole ET at the U.S. Customs Space in Avon by the Sea, New Jersey, and he finished his tour in Sandy Hook, New Jersey, maintaining small boat electronics, Loran A transmitters, and Loran C monitors. After the Coast Guard, James completed his BSEE at Washington State University and went to work for Texas Instruments in Louisville as an electrical engineer. After TI became Raytheon, he moved to Tucson. He went to work for PV Electronics, Marconi Telecommunications, then Boeing and Irving. He met his spouse by the way of extended education classes after returning to Louisville. In 2005, they married and moved to their home in Highland Village. This May completed their 9th year in Highland Village and his 28th year in Texas. Now it is my honor to introduce Councilman Deputy Mayor Pro Tem Bill Meek. He's going to come up and do some more.
Well, good afternoon. What a great privilege it is for me to be before you, and I've got 3 distinguished gentlemen, ladies, I see no ladies there, that I get to introduce. And if you would come up in this order, I've got Mr. Westergreen first, Alexander Hutton, and last, Philip Madaleno. Are you all here? Everybody here? Okay. First of all, I'd like to introduce Dennis James Westergreen. Is Mr. Westergreen available? Come right on up. Come on down. Mr. Westergreen, good to see you. Thank you for your service, by the way. I'm going to get this a little close to my eyeball so I can see. Okay. Biography. Dennis Westergreen was born in 1948 and raised in Nebraska, where he attended the College of Engineering at the University of Nebraska. Dennis drew lottery number 161. 195 was the cutoff that year, so he clearly made it into the group. Received his greetings from the president in 1970 and became a member of the United States Army. Congratulations. He attended basic training at Fort Lewis, Washington, and advanced aviation electronics at Fort Gordon, Georgia. He spent an additional 2 years active duty with the 2nd Aviation Battalion in Korea and with the 2nd Infantry Division at Camp Casey and was honorably discharged in 1973. Mr. Westergreen was moved to the great state of Texas in 1989 and has resided in Highland Village for the last 25 years. That's great. He has 1 grown daughter, 1 ex-wife, and when he plans to retire here in Highland Village next year. So congratulations for and for living in Highland Village. Thank you very much.
Yeah, 1 more year and I'll retire in Highland Village.
We're glad to get you. Next, I'd like to introduce Mr. Alexander Hutton. Alexander, are you here? There you go. Welcome. Thank you for your service. Alex, as he is known, Alex Hutton served in the 6th Range Battalion in the Philippines. I read what I see. Ranger. You are a ranger. I was a ranger. Fantastic. 6th Ranger Battalion in the Philippines in 1945. This battalion was the first to land in Japan after the atomic bombs were dropped. The battalion was scheduled for invasion, but the war ended prior to their landing. Thank God. They landed at Wakayama Bay and traveled through Hiroshima 1 month after the atomic bomb was dropped. Alex ended his tour in Kyoto, been there. His final rank was Sergeant First Class. Alex used his veterans benefits to obtain a degree in chemistry and went on to become Vice President at a specialized paper manufacturer. Mr. Hutton has 2 children. He moved to Highland Village in 1997 after his wife passed away to be near his son and his family. He met and married Joretta Brenner here in Highland Village, I guess, and they lived here until 2006. He and Joretta currently reside in Moore, Oklahoma. And you survived that Moore, Oklahoma last year. That's good. Congratulations. Thank you, Mr. Hutton, for your service. I see that my last introduction will not be here, but I do want to go ahead and read it and honor him. Philip S. Madalena. Philip Madalena was born in June 1932 in New York City. He enlisted in the Army in January 1953 and served until January 1955. During his time serving our country, he received the National Defense Service Medal and Good Conduct Medal. He was released from the active military service and transferred to the Army Reserve to complete 8 years of service under the UMT and Service Act. I'm trying to think what UMT stands for. Universal Military Training, I guess, and Service Act. Mr. Madalena currently resides in Highland Village. Now, I am concluded, and it is my privilege to welcome to the podium Michelle Swaller. I'm sorry? Swaller. There you are. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, before I have the honor of reading 2 of these, I just wanted to make a quick note and let you all know that we do understand that all of these servicemen and women are certainly heroes, but they can't be heroes without their support staff. So please know how much we appreciate the wives and families and children and friends and everybody that stays here and worries and prays while you're gone. So thank you very much to you as well. So this first person I'll be recognizing is no longer with us. His name is W. Neil Benton Sr. W. Neil Benton Sr. was born in 1920 in Verona, New Jersey. Mr. Benton graduated from Dartmouth College in 1942 and enlisted in the Army in 1943. He entered service in 1944 as a member of the Combat Engineers and participated in the South Pacific campaigns of New Guinea, Leyte Gulf, and the battle to retake the Philippines. Mr. Benton was awarded the Asiatic Pacific Campaign Medal, Philippines Liberation Ribbon, and World War II Victory Medal. He was honorably discharged from his service in 1946. Mr. Benton lived and worked in Cleveland, Ohio, New York City, New York, and New Canaan, Connecticut before retiring to Florida. He then moved to Highland Village and lived here for approximately 3 years. He was beloved father, grandfather, and great-grandfather. Mr. Benton was a resident at Rambling Oaks when he passed away in 2009. I am certain Mr. Benton is very proud of the next honoree because it is W. Neil Benton Jr. So could he please come up? W. Neil Benton Jr. was born in 1945 in New York, New York. He grew up in Cleveland, Ohio, and graduated from Pittsburgh Institute of Aeronautics in 1966. Mr. Benton enlisted in the Army in 1966 and attended helicopter flight school in Texas and Alabama. He served in the Vietnam War from 1967 to 1968 with the 189th Assault Helicopter Company. He flew in support of the 4th Division, 173rd Airborne Brigade, and the 5th Special Forces Group. He served as a helicopter flight instructor at Fort Rucker, Alabama. Mr. Benton was placed on inactive reserve status in 1970 and was honorably discharged in 1976. During his service, Mr. Benton was the recipient of the Distinguished Flying Cross, 27th Award of the Air Medal with Valor, the Vietnam Service Medal, and Presidential Distinguished Unit Citation. Impressive. It's very impressive. In 1972, Mr. Benton began a 33-year career as an airline pilot and retired from American Airlines in 2005. He has since served as a K-9 handler and served as Director of Training for Search 1 Rescue Team based in North Texas from 2004 to 2012. Mr. Benton is a proud father and grandfather. He and his family have lived in Highland Village since 1993. And now I would like to introduce our newest council member, Mr. Patrick Kuhn.
A few things before I get started. Our city manager fibbed. He said he always was happy to see a big room like this for council. And I can tell you as a council member of the past and newer council member, most of our council meetings when they're filled like this are not joyous ones or ones of celebration, right? So I gotcha. To ad-lib a little further, on a serious note, this Saturday I had a dear friend of mine whose dad passed away, who was in the military. He started out in the gun turrets and ended up being a pilot in the Air Force. But we got to go to the Dallas National Cemetery. And being a resident here for about almost 25 years, we have the Meyerson, we have the thing that Jerry built in Arlington. We've got the American Airlines Center. But for my money, of all the things that we have in this fine city, in this area, the Dallas National Cemetery is one of the most breathtaking, moving that I've ever been in. And especially to those seated today, and anybody else, if you haven't had a chance to go there, I would strongly encourage you to do so. My friend joked that his dad died so he could see all the flags over the holiday, but it really is a moving experience and a fitful place for the folks that have served our country. And it's been memorialized in books, The Greatest Generation, for my grandfather's age and my dad's aged, but it's served out in young folks that serve in the military today. And various folks give their time and their efforts to numerous things, and I'm sure they're all glorious and they're all well received and respected. But in my eyes, and I think the eyes of many here, there is nothing so great as serving your country. And it stays with you a long time, because from my vantage point, standing up there with Michelle and Mike, when we said the Pledge of Allegiance, you could tell folks that were in the military. Mr. Benton Jr. saluted the flag. Pre's heels came together and he stood up straight as a 6-year-old could. And I know from your numerous years you're not 6 years old. And I looked at all the other folks in the room, and you could tell in their eyes and in their posture, we're military. We're with this country 100%. So with that, Anna, if you could join me up here. This is Anna Kutzmich. Yesterday, I celebrated my 35th anniversary, and my wife looks at me, Anna, and says, I don't know how I made it, Patrick. Anna and John, who is the military gentleman that we are honoring today, lived in Highland Village for 35 years, and they were married for 63 glorious years. John was born in Bayonne, New Jersey, the great Northeast, like that. He joined the Merchant Marines in 1941 and served until 1945. He was a World War II veteran who continued in service until 1976 at the Bayonne Port Terminal and the Brooklyn Navy Yard. He retired in 76 after 35 years of service. Unfortunately, John passed away in December, as luck would have it, on Christmas Day, 2013. As I said, he had moved to Highland Village in 1976, and he lived here for 35 years. Anna and John have 6 children and are very proud to have his plate permanently placed on the memorial ground here in our community. In addition to this, he's so honored from a memorial certificate that he received from President Barack Obama. John had 3 loves in his life. I would say one specifically centered around the lady to my left, and that is his family. The second was the Merchant Marines, which he proudly served for such a long period of time. And the third was Highland Village. Though he is not here with us today, he will never be forgotten. Thank you, Anna. All right, we'll bring up the kid. Mr. Nelson, could you come on up? Ladies and gentlemen, this is Jay Spence Nelson. Jay doesn't remember this, but I do. I got to meet him in the back of the room today with his mom and dad, but my kids used to babysit for you when you were a young man. You spent a lot of time in the corner. I think they called it timeout, yeah? Okay. Jay was born on June 10th, 1984 in Houston, Texas. He, along with his family, moved to Highland Village in 1980, and this has been his permanent address since then. Jay was a graduate of our own Marcus High School in 2002. Jay enlisted in the Navy in June of 2008, did his basic training in Great Lakes, Illinois. He joined the USS Nimitz in November of that same year. His first deployment was to the Persian Gulf in June of 2009, and he stayed there through March of 2010. Only then did he stop because the ship went into dry docks for repairs. And that time, Jay volunteered to enter the individual augmentee program where he trained with the Army. He was deployed with the Afghanistan Operation Enduring Freedom campaign from June 2011 through March 2012 and was stationed at Camp Nathan Smith in Kandahar, Afghanistan. He returned to the Nimitz, where he deployed to the Persian Gulf in March of 2013. He was released from active duty during that deployment on June 12, 2013. So for my fine math, that's 5 years of serving your country with tremendous awards, recognition, and selflessness. Jay received several awards, including the National Defense Service Medal, the Global War on Terrorism Service Medal, the Army Commendation Medal, and the Global War on Terrorism Expeditionary Medal. Jay is currently attending college and interviewing for a firefighter position. Well, young man, I'm very proud to stand next to you, and I sure hope you get the job. Back from a well-earned vacation in Hawaii, I'd like to introduce Councilman Fred Bushy, who joined us especially for today's event. Fred?
Any of us that were around when the first lottery occurred, there's one thing you'll never forget, and that's the number. I was either unlucky or lucky. I had number 264, and that's the reason I didn't get an opportunity to do what many of you have had a chance to do. Is William Neal Thomas here? Lieutenant Colonel William Neal Thomas was born in Oklahoma City, Oklahoma in 1959 and graduated from Putnam City West High School in 1977. He entered military service on May 24, 1977 by enlisting in the United States Army Reserves and attended basic training at Fort Sill, Oklahoma. While working his way up the ranks, Lieutenant Colonel Thomas participated in various missions and projects, including the Cuban refugee relief crisis in 1980. In 2001, shortly after his promotion to major, he transferred to the 412 Theater Engineer Command located in Vicksburg, Mississippi. He was on duty at the 412 TEC as he watched the unfolding horrors of September 11, 2001. As Lieutenant Colonel, he also participated in Operation Iraqi Freedom in Iraq in 2006 and Operation Enduring Freedom in Afghanistan in 2009. Lieutenant Colonel Thomas received numerous military decorations and awards during his years of service, including the Army Commendation Medal, Army Achievement Medal, and Oak Leaf Cluster and Brown Star Medal. Lieutenant Colonel Thomas retired in 2013 after 36 years of service with the U.S. Army Reserves. He has resided in Highland Village since June 2004 with his wife Lisa and their 2 pugs. I have greyhounds, Max and Lizzie. They enjoy traveling, attend their local church, and participate in a local DFW tax group. Thank you very much for being here. Is Warren Wilbur Wellenberg here? Oh, that's too bad, because this is an incredible achievement as far as his service is concerned. During his naval service, Warren Willenberg served several tours of duty in the South Pacific during World War II. He was one of the first naval crew members assigned to the Honolulu Naval Base after the attack on Pearl Harbor. In 1942, Warren Willenberg served aboard the U.S. Yorktown and was an active participant in the Battle of Midway on June 4, 1942. He survived the sinking of the U.S. Yorktown and survived 5 hours in the Pacific waters until he was rescued by other U.S. naval ships in the area. 5 hours in the Pacific. Having just been there, there are all kinds of weird things in the Pacific Ocean, I'll tell you. He referred to June 4th, 1942 as the day he went for a swim in the Pacific. In 1943, Warren Willenberg received an honorable medical discharge from the U.S. Navy and continued his career as an airplane mechanic as a civilian until his retirement in 1982. Mr. Willenberg was a Highland Village resident for 40 years. Boy, boy. And now I have the great pleasure of introducing John McGee, Councilman, for the next president.
Well, you've all been welcomed, and as I look out in the room, I kind of, it's like looking in a mirror, and what I see a group of folks who are probably the last generation to understand where you could look in almost any direction, look at any person, and you had somebody who gave themselves for the freedom of this country. You talk about the draft number, and when I was in college, everybody waited for that number to roll, and there was panic and people, but they accepted it by the thousands, tens of thousands. And as I said, you could turn around and almost any family member, anybody you met on the street, they knew somebody who had given their time to the service of this country. And unfortunately today, there's so many folks who have forgotten that freedom isn't free. But it's the folks like you that must carry it on. John Getz, in the room? Please come up. A native of Matawan, New Jersey, Jack Getz entered the United States Naval Academy in 1978, earning a bachelor's degree in resource management. He was commissioned as an ensign in May of 1982, commenced flight training in July 1982, and was designated a Naval Aviator P3 pilot in October 1983. Commander Getz completed tours of duty, I think, at every naval air station in the world, isn't it? Just about. Patrol Squadron 23, NAS Brunswick, Maine, Patrol Squadron 30, Jacksonville, Florida, Patrol Squadron Special Projects Unit 1, NAS Brunswick, Maine, Patrol Squadron 47, NAS Barbers Point, been there. Hawaii, Atlantic Fleet Training Command Center, NAS Norfolk, Virginia, Iceland Defense Force, Keflavik, Iceland, and finally as officer in charge of Bureau Personnel and Sea Duty Component here in Dallas. Commander Getz received numerous unit citations and service awards for his numerous years of service. Commander Getz retired in February 2002 after 20 years of service. He's resided at Highland Village since moving here in 1999 with his wife Cindy and 2 children, Matt and Kara. He has been a pilot for Southwest since May of 2004. Once again, thank you for your service. Family member or family representing Philip James? Anyone here? Thank you. Philip James was born in Sherman, Texas in September of 1942. He grew up in Sherman and graduated from Sherman High School in 1960. Phil joined the Navy in 1961 and spent time in California and in Florida. While in the Navy, he was assigned to the aircraft carrier USS Hancock as an aircraft electrician, AE-3. The carrier was in South China Sea off the coast of Vietnam during the Vietnam conflict. He was at sea for almost a year. He was discharged from the Navy in 1967 with the rank of E-4. In 1975, Phil and his wife contracted with Buddy Sharp to build a house in Highland Village. They moved in the house in 1976. Phil liked the house, the neighborhood, and the neighbors in Highland Village. Who doesn't? A great place to live. He was an avid golfer, and he also liked the fact that he could have his boat nearby. It was not unusual for him to comment, "I like it here. I like my house, and I like the trees," and he loved Highland Village. In 2007, he was diagnosed with stage 3 melanoma. In November 2012, Phil lost his battle to cancer. So sorry. Thank you so much for his service. This time, I would like to introduce the city manager, Mike Levitt.
You know, the thing that I've taken away from this is how many of us are from above the Mason-Dixon line north? We got here as fast as we could. Is there a family member of Mr. James L. Ward? James Ward served in the Marine Corps from 1966 to 1970. He was an aviation structural mechanic and served in Vietnam from October 1967 to June of 1969. As a mechanic and helicopter gunner, James was awarded the Air Medal Combat, Combat Air Wings, Crew Wings, Vietnamese Service Medal, Vietnamese Campaign Medal, Vietnamese Cross of Gallantry, Combat Action Ribbon, National Defense Medal, Good Conduct Medal, and the Presidential Unit Citation. James and his wife Ruth moved to Highland Village from Rockwall in 2004. They have 3 children, one in South Carolina, one in Nevada, and one in Flower Mound. They also have four grandchildren. James works for the city of Grapevine, and since retiring has done volunteer work at Spirit Horse, Texas, Scottish Rite Hospital, and many other tasks for his church, First Baptist Church in Louisville. James L. Ward. Could the family for Bradley Thomas Shields, someone like to come up? Barbara is a volunteer for the city. She serves on our art board, our newly formed art board.
And this is his father, Tom Shields,
Tom.
who was a coach here in Louisville, who left in 1973.
Pleasure. Lieutenant Colonel Bradley Shields served in the U.S. Army for 23 years. His major duty assignment in Hawaii, Texas, Germany, Kuwait, Korea, with his last assignment in Virginia. He earned a Bachelor of Business Administration from Sam Houston State University and a Master's of Science in Strategic Intelligence from the National Intelligence University. During his years of service, Lieutenant Colonel Shields received numerous awards and medals, including National Defense Medal, Expert Field Medical Badge, 2 Army Commendations Medals, and 4 service medals. Meritorious, thank you. After a short but violent fight, Brad lost the battle with brain cancer on November 7th, 2013 at the age of 50. He is survived by his wife Nikki and their sons Jared and Jake. His family has lived in Highland Village since 1976. Brad was a 1981 graduate of Louisville High School. Brad was remembered by John McHugh, Secretary of Army, General Raymond Oded from the Pentagon, General M.T. Wong, Fort Belvoir, and Brigadier General Dennis D. Doyle, Sam Houston State, Texas, as an exemplary member of the Medical Service Corps who will remain in our hearts forever for those that had the true pleasure of knowing him. Thank you for your service. I would like to thank you for being here today, and really mean thank you to every one of you. To honor these brave servicemen, thank you to Chaplain Milligan, our good friend to the city of Highland Village, Marcus High School Air Force ROTC, Vocal Magic, the Veterans Committee, and the city council members for establish this and going forward. Charlotte Wilcox, Bill Meek, Michelle Swollert, Patrick Kuhn, and Fred Bushy, and John McGee. A special thank you to Lori Wright. She's the one who helps organize this and puts this all together for spearheading this event and memorial. The names of all the honorees are mounted on the stones out in front of the complex here. Feel free to stop by, find your name or the names of your loved ones. Plan to join us around Veterans Day in November of 2014 for our next Honor Our Veterans event. Thank you for taking the time, this little time, and sharing it with us, sharing your stories, and thank you for your service that you've provided to this country.